you.
All right. As hopefully most of you know me, I'm Ramin Mohammadi. I'm the Associate Provost. I also chair the group of people that have rolled out Curriculog for our campus. So just briefly explaining the tool, we have purchased Curriculog to manage proposals, workflow, submission and workflow. This could be proposals for new courses. This could be proposals for curriculum changes for your majors, for your minors, what have you, and proposing new ones. So we wanted to just give you a look at the website and making sure that people had a sense of what was going on at this point, and give you a chance to ask some questions if you had any. Now, I'm going to ask one of my colleagues, because I have a feeling I may screw things up if I try to do it here. Tracy, can you share your screen and log into oswego.curriculog.com?
Sure.
Thank you. So oswego.curriculog.com is the website for our Curriculog system. So you just type in oswego.curriculog.com in your browser, and that should bring you to this page. And in the upper right corner, as you can see in Tracy's case, it says, this is Tracy Green because she already logged in, but you should have a login button in that spot. So to be very clear, anyone in the world with this URL could look at this site, right? Look at our proposals, look at what's the basic things you're looking at on the screen. But obviously to do actually submission of proposals and so on, you are going to need to bring yourself in as an authenticated individual. So you authenticate with SSO. It's just a simple single sign-on. And if you have double authentication, like people like me do, you got to put in a text or whatever, just like you typically would with SSO. So in what you're looking at on the screen at this point, we ran 3 test proposals. So that's what you're looking at. You see the IPS at the top, and you see a whole bunch of thumbs ups in this context. A really long list of thumbs ups, and I have to explain what that means. Then you have the HSC courses. One of them is at the graduate level, and one of them is at the undergraduate level. So we thought to begin this quick demo, begin by showing you how does one create a new proposal. So if Tracy could just click on the new proposal button here so that we could, we're not going to make a new proposal, but just so you see what it will look like. These are all the templates or forms we built for Curriculog so far, and there will be more. But if, for example, we take the graduate course new, it says 2022, 2023 graduate course new. This will allow us to submit a proposal for a new graduate course. So on the left-hand side is where you enter your basic information. You can see the information you see on the screen on the left side that is being requested really has come to us from the Graduate Council. We worked with them directly to make sure they had the fields that they need for the proposals that come forward. So that's what you're looking at. So if you have a graduate course you want to propose, this is the right place to begin. You log into Curriculog, you start a new proposal, you choose a new graduate course, and there you go. And once you complete that, you obviously submit that particular proposal. And that's kind of where we're going to go next. We're going to just show you what these proposals actually look like when they get submitted, by a particular individual and where they go. We're still working on the workflow a little bit, and I'll speak to that when we get there. So maybe we can get out of this thing, Tracy.
Okay.
So let's take a look at the HSE 387 as an example. So when we click on that, you will see the proposal on the left side. So if you scroll down on that, you'll see there are some instructions that the individual who filled it had received, the title of the department, the subject code, the course number. These are all required things you have to provide when you submit a new course, prerequisite information, and so on. Again, we didn't come up with these fields. These are fields that UCC is expecting. So that's the course information, but we should also show you the workflow for this. So on the right side, you can kind of see, Tracy just clicked on the workflow just to show you this proposal. You can see the originator of this proposal was Sandy Barganier. So she, as you know, she's on the call. She's one of the people in the implementation group that we had. Very, very helpful, but it was also easy for her to just propose something. And this course, by the way, I believe is an existing course, so everybody was just testing it. It was not an actual proposal. So the very next step, as you can see, it didn't go to any particular committee. It actually, in fact, first went to the registrars. Registrar's responsibility in this context for us is to make sure the course number is not used again. I mean, if it's supposed to be a new course and so on, as an example. And then once they check, they just send it off. So the approval that you see there, it probably doesn't match the type of approval you and I usually think about, but it's still necessary. We make sure that the course is actually good to go. That's important information for subsequent committees that would look at it. We agreed that the first place it needs to go after the registrar is the department chair, because anyone can submit a proposal, right? I mean, if anybody could submit an economics course, but that economics course would then have to first go to Dave, who chairs the department, and this is just to guarantee and ensure that everyone who's supposed to know about this does. So once the chair approves it, then becomes a conditional situation. So to explain this, you can see School of Education, Faculty Council is articulated in this context. So you have to understand this HSC is in School of Ed. So in their case, they need their courses to first go through this particular council, which is great. Curriculog is well tooled to enable us to conditionally identify this. So if the course was a liberal arts and sciences course, they would never go to this particular council. So they got to see it, they approved it, and the next step for it, as you can see, is UCC, Undergraduate Curriculum Committee. So there's Jeremy is the chair, and so Jeremy works with the members of his council, and once they approve that, they move it forward, and you can see we added a secondary step here, which we're probably going to remove. I'm going to quickly explain this because I think you'll find this interesting and useful, I hope. We didn't want to give the Undergraduate Curriculum Council the ability to edit. We thought, I'm submitting the proposal, you shouldn't be editing my proposal. But we did want the ability for the council to move the proposal forward with conditions and allow, that's the second component here, the Undergraduate Curriculum Council chair. So he would be the one who would be able to edit the proposal. But what we have learned through our test process, frankly, is that we really don't need these two steps, because what happens, folks, is that Curriculog actually color codes every change that is made to a proposal. So it can be some random change that is made to a proposal that has come to the Undergraduate Curriculum Committee. So we feel that we can allow edit to UCC, and whoever is designated as the recorder and designated as the person who would update the proposal could go ahead and do it. So I think we're going to be able to eliminate one of these two steps. Once it goes to UCC, as you know, things go on the screen as at faculty assembly. I literally mean that. They actually get posted on the screen. So people know that such and such a proposal is being reviewed. If nobody complains, faculty assembly chair gets to push that forward to the next step. And after that, as you can see, it just goes directly to the registrar's office and we get to act on it. And I think we probably have a communication built here for the dean's office too, but I can't exactly remember. So let me quickly pause and see if anybody has any questions about what we have described so far.
I have a question about the workflow. If they're making changes in one of these councils, is it going back ever to the originator to approve it again, or what is happening there? If UCC makes changes, how does everyone else confirm that's okay before it goes on to FA?
That's a fantastic question, Zoe. So we have really two ways of handling this. We could put the originator back in if we wanted to, but the way we have operated, at least the standard MO, as far as I know, for our campus has been that the chair interacts with the originator and make sure they agree about the changes before they move it forward. And I like to hope we don't have to put the originator back in. If we wanted to, we could, right? We could add the originator after the council and let them see what is moving forward, so that they actually officially approve it. I'm hoping we don't have to do that, but I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, we're making the assumption that the council moves it forward after that dialogue with the originator. Go ahead, Sam.
Can you let me share my screen, Tracy? I want to just show Zoe and everybody else something. So because I was the originator of that course, this is, can you see my screen? These are the emails. I get a Curriculog daily digest or a weekly digest. I can't remember. I think we switched it to daily. Weekly. Did we? Is it daily or weekly? Daily. And so this is what I, as the originator, because I originated all the undergrad course, the grad course, and the program as a test subject. And so this is what I get. So you as the originator would know what's happening. And you can see, like down here, Tracy Green's made an edit. I think somewhere Carol Willard made an edit somewhere, but I was getting updates all along about where my where my proposal was in the workflow process and who was making comments, and I could go click on it, and look at it. If I want to click here and go look, it takes me right to it and to the comment. So there's Carol Willard made minor revisions. So that's how it's communicating with the originator.
Okay. And I guess the flip side of that question, if there are substantial revisions that one of the council's requests, is there a way to have the originator make those changes, or is that on the council chair currently, or whoever is making the edits on behalf of the council?
I can take that, Zoe. That's I think by and large, as you know, we don't send stuff back, but we, if it's substantial enough, we do, right? I mean, if a particular proposal really needs rework, it just simply needs to go back to the originator. So you reject it, you get it back to the originator, they can bring it back through the workflow with the corrections that were expected.
Right.
There are some questions, I think. Judy, you have your hand up here.
Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. My question is, with Curriculog, I know it goes through priorities and planning. Will there be a filter that will see it only if it affects a whole department and or funding for us to see it, or will we see everybody's courses go through again?
Well, Judy, good question. First of all, courses don't go to priorities and planning.
Right.
Courses, that's not part of the workflow for course review, whether it's a new course or course update. All program updates and new programs have to go through priorities and planning. So those are the type of proposals. Maybe we could share the screen again, Tracy. We can show you with IPS, the workflow for IPS quickly. I know we're we only have a few more minutes, so I don't want to take too much time. Let's switch over to IPS. IPS is a program. It was undergraduate, but you understand, you saw IPS. I am sure you remember as part of the while it was going through process for approval. So in the case of IPS, you can see again began with Tracy. After Sandy submitted it, began with Tracy reviewing it. We always have registrar review programs to make sure if they're listing courses, they actually exist, as an example. So registrar does a quick check of that type. It goes to the department chair. In this particular case, I think that might have been Sandy herself, right, Sandy?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because she directs the IPS program. Then it goes to the dean, appropriate dean in this case, because we consider IPS as a interdisciplinary program. It goes to Kristen Coyle. She had to then approve that. It continues on and it goes to me because in our institution, my responsibility is to make sure that the resources that people say they need, we can handle, or if I feel it needs resources that people didn't think of, then I'll work with the originator to make sure we articulate the resources adequately and correctly. Once I see that, then I just hand it off to the provost, as you can see, and it doesn't go anywhere until provost signs off on it. From provost, it goes to APC and priorities and planning at the same time. So these both councils get to see a proposal of this type at the same time, simultaneously. We're back again with the very next step. It's the step that we're thinking at this point we're going to remove, where we put the chair in, because they're not going to go forward until the chairs approve these things anyways. And anybody on the councils can be identified as the person who would offer edits. So they can do that. So we're going to eliminate the chair role because they're already the people in the previous step that actually move a proposal forward. Once both councils approve, it lands in faculty assembly. This is where Liz Don Schmidt would pick this up, present it to the faculty, and somebody would talk about it at the meeting. And she would only move this forward if the assembly approves it. From there, it goes to the president, SUNY State Ed, and if scroll down a little bit more, ultimately the registrar's office. To be clear, SUNY and State Ed are not in the system. I am SUNY and I am State Ed in this context, right? I'm supposed to send it to these groups, negotiate with them, and I only would click approve if SUNY approves. And then I will only click approve if State Ed approves. And we have documentation that supports that we can add on at that level. So, and then you have a real archive of exactly what happened, right? Where did it go? What sort of comments were made? And exactly what we passed. It really should be impossible for us to see something in faculty assembly that lacks the edits APC made, right? It's just not possible for it to happen that way.
Just one thing to add on about when you submit a new program, you're going to attach, it's the only time you attach the SUNY form, whatever it is, 2A or something.
Show you the form.
Yep.
It should be on the right side, Tracy, with the files.
Yes, files.
Yeah, you can see that's the SUNY Form 2A for a brand new undergraduate program. That's what we ended up submitting to SUNY and State Ed, and that's the full form, as you see. When it comes to programs, we have to have them in this form, right? We can't submit them with a typical catalog copy that we would use on campus. Any last minute questions? So we get Sal to move on with other things that you're supposed to do today, 50 million other things.
Ramin, I just have one quick question. I originally was in this test thing, but I got to it too late. And I don't know if I was removed from it or if I just didn't. So like when I logged into Curriculog, by the time I'd done it, it already gone through all the processes. And technically, like I wouldn't have had to approve it as like IPAC director anyway. So, but is that like, I would have been a stumbling point, correct? Like if I hadn't approved it before it went on to the dean, or
You would have been
Yeah.
nudged. You would have been nudged and prompted after a certain time.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe I was just copied in because I was sort of involved with it.
I
Yeah,
think they
you-
just, I think they put you in and then they switched to me, I think. That's what
Yeah, I
happened.
think we had
Okay.
some hiccups in our structure, and so we needed to fix that. Because I think that's why Sandy was coming up as the chair.
That's what I
Okay.
was going to tell you, Lisa. You actually were supposed to be in this thing because you direct the IPAC. So you were supposed to be in this thing, but apparently we managed to screw up somehow. So we'll fix that. And the next interdisciplinary program that goes through, you will be able to sign off.
Yeah, I'm not looking for more work. I just wanted to see, because when I did finally get into Curriculog, I couldn't see what I had to do.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, well, the reason you didn't was because
I wasn't there.
Sandy
Got
did
it.
it
Yeah,
for
because
you.
it was going here.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've tried to figure out, first we started making it easy on ourselves and people could be chair/director. Then now we get into situations like IPS. Well, chair/director doesn't really work well for IPS. So, we're gonna have to, bite the bullet and actually break that out, all the roles, so that the director is there, the chair is also there. So, and with interdisciplinary programs, you would be the chair in that context. Whereas if it was information science, Doug Lee would be the chair in the CS department in that context. So we tried to take a shortcut and it didn't really work well. So I think we're going to have to bite the bullet and fix that. But we have the ability to do it, right? I mean, it's not that hard to assign specific roles and make sure they're in the workflow the right way.
So my
All right.
last quick question is, for fall, are we going to start using this, or are we still using the UCC submission form?
Well, we are hopeful, Lisa, that we're going to use this instead of the UCC forms. We have a few more things to test out because you saw the 3 tests that we ran all the way through. We have several other tests that we have to make sure they all work. But once we are assured that the system will behave appropriately, for sure, we'll roll it out beginning of the fall.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I get to end this or click end? Are you guys sure? I
Thank
don't-
you.
Thank you. Bye. End meeting, right?